welcome to Hands Off My Food. I'm Dr. Sina McCullough. Today's topic is, can your thoughts heal you? I've invited Debbie Leoni to discuss this critical topic with us. Debbie is an international speaker, author, personal trainer, and fearless living coach. She teaches personal development by helping people reconnect with their body, mind, and spirit. Debbie helps clients heal past wounds, find their purpose, and create a vision and action plan that allows them to achieve their life goals and to live fearlessly. Debbie offers individual and group coaching in addition to workshops. She also published a book that teaches people how to move from fear into courage. It's called I Am Fearless, the 12 Elements of Fearless Living. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Sina. I'm so excited to be here. I love doing these interviews. It's always fun.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And let's get right into the question. Can your thoughts heal you?
So the fact that it's a question means that the answer is yes, right? Of course they can. Absolutely. Our thoughts can heal us. And what I find fascinating is how few people realize this. Because actually we haven't been taught. We haven't been taught to take 100% responsibility for our thoughts, for our words, and for our actions. And we have so much more power in healing ourselves versus seeking external. Not to say that external support isn't necessary, but if we can bring more of the focus back onto ourselves and what's going on in our mind, it affects everything. It affects our body and healing. So the short answer is yes.
Wonderful. So how do your thoughts actually help you heal? And if your thoughts can heal you, can your thoughts also create disease in your body?
I totally believe your thoughts can create disease. And so I'll answer both questions, I think, with one response. So how can you heal yourself with your thoughts? Your thoughts are energy, okay? And if we are engaged in a monkey mind of negative thoughts, that's negative energy. And when we're choosing to be in negative energy, our body contracts. The body either does one or two things. It contracts or it expands. And so when we're have a negative mindset, when we're stressed, when we're telling ourselves all these negative things like I can't or I won't or I'm not able to, our body contracts, and when our body contracts, what happens? Everything becomes slow. The sympathetic nervous system is, in charge, and you're in that fight or flight mode on a continual basis. So what does that do? That affects our adrenals, our hormones, and which over time affects disease. So if I'm able to, which we are able to learn how to shift negative thoughts, positive thoughts, what's going to happen? Our body expands, and when it expands, it opens up to the parasympathetic nervous system, which allows healing. So it all starts here. It all starts here.
Wow. Okay, so you're saying that you can actually shift your body from fight or flight into a rest and relaxation state simply by your thoughts.
Yes. How else can we?
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before. We're typically too focused on other people or other circumstances to heal us and to change our thoughts and whatnot. But it all happens within us.
Yes. So what kind of thoughts then are healing thoughts?
Anything that has you feeling good. So if I'm telling myself I'm not capable of getting better, or if I'll never know how, or I'm not good enough, failure, or someone's going to judge me, none of those thoughts feel good. And so it's learning how to shift gears into an experience that has us feeling happy and peaceful. And that takes practice because we haven't been taught how to do that. Because ultimately what we're seeking in this healing process is a feeling. We want to feel peaceful. We want to feel fulfilled, happy, connected, whatever that is. And so what's important, maybe maybe I'm a step ahead, but how to change your thoughts is by accessing what's going on in your body. In other words, so if I'm in a negative mindset, I've got to learn how to stop and notice, wow, I'm feeling tight. I'm feeling anxious. Our feelings are messages that are trying to tell us to do something different and think something different.
That's so fascinating, because when I was a child, I was always taught to kind of suppress or hide my feelings, right? Just like, oh, stop crying, like big kids don't cry. And, so to not actually sit with the feeling, but to just shove it down and move forward. And so are you saying, so shoving it down, for instance, can actually manifest disease?
Oh my gosh. Yes, because again, those thoughts, those feelings are energy that we tend to repress and keep inside of us. That energy has to go somewhere. So too often it goes towards disease. The body breaks down. I like to use a metaphor or an image of a can of hairspray. So that can of hairspray is pressurized with tons of pressure, right? That's similar to what we do when we suppress our feelings, like feelings of anger or shame or whatever that is. We keep them inside till at some point we either explode, can of hairspray can explode, or we learn to start to release that pressure. And you release that pressure by first acknowledging what's there. Make sense?
Yes. So in your experience of working with people one-on-one or group sessions or your workshops, what is the top feeling that people have that's hindering them from having optimal health and wellness?
First, I'll say the thought. The most common thought is I can't. And the feeling is that I'm not good enough. Not good enough. And that's old programming, again, that gets stored inside, and it's so powerful. It's like our unconscious default mode. It's in a way that it drives everything that we do. So if I'm not feeling good enough about who I am, it's going to show up in the way I show up at work or in my relationships, with my health, with everything.
Yes, and this reminds me, actually, in your book, I Am Fearless, the question that really, you post questions in here for us to reflect, do some self-reflection. And there's one question that really jumped out at me, and it has to do with not feeling good enough. The question you pose is, who would you be if you no longer judged yourself?
Right?
And yeah, and it's one of those questions where you could just easily glance right over it. But as I sat there and pondered it, I thought, wow, I started to write a list in the book of all of these qualities, character qualities I would have, things I would do if I stopped judging myself. And I realized that it meant that I felt I wasn't good enough to be seen, good enough to be heard, just the way that I am. So what you're saying just really resonates with me. And I think that that's really not feeling good enough. I really agree. I think that's at the root of a lot of disease and, feeling even trapped in your own body, in your own space, and feeling uncomfortable to actually come out of that box, and to be heard and to let yourself have a voice and to let that inner child come out. Like, I think these all actually stem from fear.
Absolutely. They do come from fear. Every thought we have either is birthed out of fear or love. So when we're not feeling good enough, we're afraid that we're not good enough. And this shows up, so many of my clients come to me because they want ideal health. And I help them explore this whole theme of I'm not good enough, and they're able to notice that because they tell themselves, because they believe that, whether consciously or unconsciously, they're making choices with what they're eating that just kind of validates that they feel not good enough. So in other words, They'll make unhealthy choices because they don't believe they're good enough to make the best choices, or they'll that has them feeling sad or depressed. So what do? They reach for food to comfort themselves instead of finding how they can comfort themselves without it. So the work that I do with my clients is they begin to learn that belief that they're not good enough is not true. It's just something that they adopted. And when they learn to shift and realize, you know what, I am good enough, that's when the miracles happen. Yeah. So that's why I believe that this work, the emotional component of health, of life, period, is the most important, because you can eat all the right things, you can do all the right things, but you're not going to sustain that pattern if that old driving force of not good enough or negative beliefs are still there.
Yeah. So how do you actually shift that mindset? How do you shift from this old belief system of I'm not good enough to I love and accept myself exactly the way I am?
Yeah, great question. Because it's a question that requires lots of patience and commitment, because it doesn't happen overnight. It took us as long as it took us to have the belief system that we have now. So it's kind of like unwinding that spool of thread. It's going to take some time to unwind and kind of reprogram your mind to leaving something different. So how do you do that? It can't happen if you stay in the busyness of your mind. Meaning, let me show you this little thing that I created. So this is a jar. You see it? Yeah.
Yes.
This is a jar of water, and this is dirt. Okay? So I want you to consider that this is your mind. And imagine that every little granule of dirt is a thought you engage in. Okay? Now notice the water and the clarity right here. So if you think of this as your mind, I'm making up this number, but over 90% of the time, this is what's going on in our mind. Our thoughts are all over the place. I'm not good enough. I got to do this. So-and-so's going to be mad at me. I'm a failure. Blah, blah, blah. This is us. So as long as we're in this mode, what clarity is there? What can you see different?
Yeah.
So the answer to the question, how do you do it? You've got to become still. As over time, these thoughts will settle. It's about learning how to settle those thoughts. You're not going to get rid of them. They're always going to be there. But it's about learning how to observe and noticing, wow, I'm really beating myself up today. You've got to learn how to press pause and notice what's going on in that dashboard over here that's serving you and what's going on that's not serving you. So I'm a huge proponent of meditation, because that's what brings you stillness. That's the opportunity where you can stop and become aware. You can't make a new choice if you're not aware of the choices you're making. And it's miraculous when you can take responsibility for this. That's when your life transforms and changes, and you feel empowered and hopeful that, you know what, I can do this.
Wow. Fabulous. So the first step is really awareness. So you can do this through meditation. Now, can you do guided meditation?
So meditation does not necessarily mean you've got to sit on the floor and say, oh, for an hour. No. Meditation meaning anything that allows you to bring focus, settle your mind. And for some people, it's a quiet walk in nature. For some, it's journaling. For some, for me, it's sitting and meditating. It's many ways, but I meditate every day. So there's many forms of meditation. If you've never meditated before, I always suggest you start with guided meditation. Because if you've never done it, it helps to have that assistance.
Okay, wonderful. So we choose our own form of meditative being, and then we become aware of our thoughts. And then once you are aware that you are being hard on yourself, or you're judging yourself, or just saying something negative to yourself, then what do you do once you're aware of it?
Another great question. So because it's huge. Awareness is important in the first step, but without an action to support that new awareness, change won't happen. So you're aware, you stop yourself and notice, oh, right now I'm really. So instead of avoiding or distracting yourself or eating or doing something unhealthy, you get to stop and notice and ask yourself, what does the angry part of me need right now? What does the angry part of me need in a way that's going to serve my highest good? And it might simply be just sitting quietly. It might be going out for a walk. You'll always get an answer. It might just be calling a friend or taking a day off or whatever. But so it's really about listening to that message in a way that's going to have you act and do something different. Does that help?
Yeah, I love that. So this comes back to, instead of trying to suppress the feelings and suppress the thoughts, actually listening to them and honoring them and acting on them. This is a way of your body communicating with you, right? At least this is what I think I'm hearing you say, is that just like disease or like pain is a way for your body to communicate with you that, hello, something's wrong, you need to do something different. Then what I'm hearing you say is that when you are having these thoughts, like these judgmental thoughts or negative thoughts, this is also a way of your body to communicate with you and to say, hey, let's pause for a moment, assess what's going on, and let's do something different.
Absolutely. And that's the way you heal your body, because what happens in that moment, you're shifting the nervous system from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, which allows for healing. I'm sure you've heard this, and there's so many different statistics, but it's at least 75% of our disease and illness is stress related. And guess where that stress comes from? Our mind. Not to say that there aren't stressful circumstances in our lives and adversity, of course there is, but it's how we choose to experience those stressors. Is what's going to either heal us or make us sick.
Wow, that's so powerful. So what you're saying is that you can have all these different stressors in your life, and possibly the way that you're managing the stress within your body, within your mind, within your spirit, that can actually make a difference. That can determine if something is going to develop into a disease or not. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It is. We've got, like I said, we've got so much more power to heal ourselves if we're willing to take responsibility for our thoughts. And it seems that that's the most difficult piece of taking responsibility for ourselves. So in other words, what I'm saying is, it's much easier for someone to hire a personal trainer or a dietitian or the doctor to take a pill because someone else is doing it. But taking on this ownership for your thoughts, it's more difficult, but also way more rewarding. Way more rewarding.
Wow. I love that. I love that analogy because, that's what I have found too in my own healing, is that it was easy. Once I found the right doctor, he told me, follow, A, B, C, D, follow this protocol. And I did. And just like clockwork, like you said, I got better. But it was easy in the sense that he laid it out for me, right? I had to follow it. I had to, be true to the diet and take the supplements and whatnot. But he did it for me. He did the work part of it for me, the discovery part. Whereas this spiritual journey that I'm now on, and I will be on for the rest of my life, I'm finding this much more challenging because I have to do the work. Like, I have to be accountable for it. And, I have to make time to do the meditation and time to reflect and time to implement the strategies and the action plans, But you're right. I have found in my own experience too, that it is so much more rewarding. And I found there's a sense of freedom associated with it. Not only in freeing myself from like past baggage, childhood traumas and whatnot, which is, completely rewarding in and of itself to be freed from that. But it's freeing to know that I don't have to look for external help to heal myself, that you are actually the best healer, right?
So true. And it is very liberating because you're no longer a victim of someone else or something else. You are a victor over your experience of your life. And it's not to say that you still have some kind of disease, or, I mean, we're human, right? Our body does break down. But I know for me, I mean, I've been doing this type of work for years, and I've noticed that the more I do it, knock on wood, the less sick I get. Because I have the tools that I'm equipped to honor what my body's telling me and give myself what I need.
Okay, so last question. When you say the more you do it, the less sick you get, so this means the more you take time out of your day to meditate and reflect on how you're feeling and honor those feelings, act on them?
And it's an everyday process, every day. And so what that requires is living what matters most to you. And to me, what matters number one to me is my health. Because if I don't have my health, how can I be a good mom and a good sister and a good coach, and right? So I live that the value of health by listening to my body on a regular basis.
Wow. And I found for myself, and I'd like you to chime in with your own experience and the people that you've coached, I have found that is one of the hardest things to do, is to put myself first. The kids are before me, my husband's before me, friends, family can become before me. And it wasn't until I got really, really sick that I realized on one of these meditative sessions, I realized that the reason that it's hard for me to put myself first is because I have to say, I'm worth it.
Yes.
Right? I'm good enough to
yes.
put myself first.
That's it. I mean, that's what we were talking about. If you believe you're not good enough, of course you're not going to give yourself as much attention as you give everyone else. So again, it goes back to that belief. So if you felt that you were totally good enough, how much better would you take care of yourself? How much more downtime would you give yourself, right? And to me, that is a selfless thing to do, because you know that in order to live your purpose to your fullest potential, you've got to take care of yourself and model that to everyone around you.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. And that's such good advice from you. So if you were going to leave our viewers and our listeners with like one take-home message, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question. To believe that you are good enough, and that you've been given the God-given gift of healing yourself, and to do it. Like, you don't have to do this alone. We think that we can be accountable to ourselves. Reach out and make a declaration to the universe that you are worth all the support you need to be your best.
That's excellent, excellent advice. And as an added bonus, Debbie's actually offering all our listeners and viewers 2 gifts. You can go to her website, which is DebbieLeoni.com. That's DebbieLeoni.com. And you'll receive a complimentary MP3 copy of her relaxation meditation, which will help get you started. And she's offering a free discovery session, which is a one-on-one phone call with Debbie. So you can actually sign up for the discovery session by going to her website and contacting her through her website. Debbie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to be here and for imparting your knowledge. And I, for one, know I'm going to leave this interview and go put in my time meditating.
My pleasure. It was great being here. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do.
Oh, thank you. Okay, till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.